Hello and welcome to Lantern Lane Stories. Tonight's story is Lupita's Stone Goddess. Lupita was asleep in her small room. The night was quiet and cool. Outside, Mexico City dreamed beneath the stars, but at midnight, something changed. A sound came through the window, deep, metallic, strange. It went clang, 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 like someone was hitting the earth itself. Lupita opened her eyes. She had never heard this sound before. The clanging grew louder, then softer, then loud again. She did not wake her mother. Instead, she wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. Her bare feet touched the cold floor. The hallway was dark. It smelled like yesterday's cooking and old stone. Outside, the street was lit by one small lamp there. In the orange glow, she saw them. 3 men in hard hats. They held long metal tools. "What are you digging for?" she called down. One man looked up, surprised. His face was dusty and tired. "The cables," he said. "Electric cables under the street?" asked Lupita. "Deep under," he nodded. "Cities growing fast." Lupita sat on the cold step. The men returned to their work. Clang, clang, clang. She watched until her eyes grew heavy. Then she went back to bed, but she did not sleep well. The next morning came gray and cool. Lupita woke early, too early. She could still hear the clanging outside. She dressed quickly. Her mother was still asleep. The kitchen smelled like cold corn. Outside, there were more people now. Not just 3 workers, maybe 20, all crowded around one spot in the street. She pushed through carefully. Excuse me. The smell hit her first. It was not the smell of city streets. It was older, like stone that had been buried. "There," shouted a man in a yellow hard hat. Lupita gasped. In the hole in the earth was a stone, but not a normal stone. This was enormous. It was circular, wider than a car. It was brown and black, stained with earth and time. But on its face, carved deep, was something that made Lupita's breath catch. A face. Not a human face. This face was broad and flat. It had large round eyes, empty and staring. Its mouth was open as if singing a song nobody could hear. Around the face were carved patterns, circles, and lines and symbols that meant something. Something old, something sacred. "What is it?" whispered Lupita. An older man beside her spoke. His voice was reverent and quiet. "I think," he said slowly. "This is from before?" "Before what?" asked Lupita. "Before the Spanish came," he said. "Long, long before." The workers brought ropes. Carefully, so carefully, they began to lift the stone face toward the sky. As it rose, dust fell like ancient rain. Lupita covered her face with her hands, but she was smiling. By afternoon, the street was a festival of discovery. More workers, more tools, a man with a camera, people from the city government, teachers, historian. Everyone had come to see what was sleeping underneath Mexico City. The man with the camera was young and excited. He showed the dusty stone to everyone. "This is the goddess Coyolxauhqui," he announced. "Moon goddess." "Moon goddess?" said Lupita's mother, who had finally come out to see. "Under a street?" "Not just under a street," said a woman with gray hair and glasses. She looked like she knew many, many things. "This belonged to the Templo Mayor." "The great temple," repeated Lupita slowly. "The greatest temple in Tenochtitlan," said the woman. "The capital city of the Aztec people." Lupita felt dizzy. "A whole city? A whole temple? Here? But where is it now?" asked Lupita. "That's what we're about to find out," said the woman with glasses, and she smiled. Over the next hours, they dug deeper and deeper. What they found was astonishing. Walls. Stone walls carved with precision, altars made from rocks that had been placed centuries ago, sculptures of gods and animals, and clay pots, hundreds of them, each one speaking of people who lived and worshipped and dreamed 500 years before. 500 years since 1521, when the Spanish had conquered the city, all of this had been buried, hidden, forgotten, almost. But the stones remembered. Lupita touched the rough surface of the moon goddess. The goddess's empty eyes seemed to look back at her. "You waited a long time," Lupita whispered. "Yes," said the woman with glasses, who had overheard. "Nearly 500 years." "Why?" asked Lupita. The woman knelt down so she was eye level with Lupita. "Because," she said gently, "some things are too important to disappear forever. Even if people forget," asked Lupita. "Even then," the woman nodded. "The stone keeps the memory safe." 3 years passed. Lupita was now 11 years old. The street where the discovery happened was no longer a street. It had become something else, something sacred. A museum had been built around the temple, no, over it. A building made of clean glass and careful stones. Inside, you could descend into the past. Lupita's mother held her hand as they walked down the stairs. The air grew cooler with each step. The smell of earth grew stronger. "I remember this place," said Lupita's mother. "When you were small, they were just digging. Now look," said Lupita. They emerged into an underground courtyard. The Templo Mayor rose before them, not the whole thing, but enough to understand. Pyramids made of stone, altars made for gods, a world that had stood for hundreds of years, and it had been here the whole time. Right under the modern city, right under where people walked and worked and lived. The moon goddess, Coyolxauhqui, was still there, still looking outward with those mysterious eyes. "People used to worship her," said Lupita to her mother, "before everyone forgot." "Some people forgot," corrected a voice. It was the woman with gray hair and glasses. The historian, she was still working there, still discovering. "But the Mexica people never truly forgot," the historian said. "And the stones, they were always waiting for people to remember again." Lupita looked around at the other visitors. Children, adults, old people, all of them standing in wonder, all of them remembering. That night, Lupita went to sleep thinking of the goddess beneath the city, of how something buried for so long could come back to life, of how a few workers digging for something simple had awakened something enormous. She thought of the stone face. She thought of the city sleeping above it. She thought of all the stories waiting in the earth patient and ancient. And so Mexico City also slowly fell asleep. Good night.